rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So this machine, she's going to be something else. We have all kinds of things on this machine that I have not done on a video before. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, she is a old, I haven't even looked it up right now. I think it's a VS-2. It's the fiddle-based shuttle machine. And at some point, I'm guessing in the late 40s, because that seems to be when it usually happened, she was modernized. So you can see she's got a Godzilla finish on that was put on probably over her original paint. There's a couple holes here. Well, there's a rivet still here where a little Singer plate was probably riveted on, which is long gone. We've got a Revco reverse system here, which is actually really cool. And when I rebuild her, I am going to rebuilding the Revco system and putting back on. So we're going to go through that. She had new holes drilled straight into her casting so that a motor could be mounted on it, and that old motor. And a light fixture installed, which was not originally there. I need to look up her number. I'm guessing late 1800s, early 1900s at this point. This is another newer aftermarket kind of auto tension piece. Like that, and that is working, so that's great. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff. Plus, her box is destroyed. So we're going to have to come up with a way to modernize or make, just ignore this for a minute, come up with a way to make a standard size base work with a fiddle base, because of course they have a different size bottom, but we'll get to that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I just looked. This is her serial number here, which is 9076887. And when I look that up, the records aren't 100% complete and everything, but the records on ISMAX says that that is a machine from 1889. So she is definitely an old girl. And I want to point out that when they put the motor on, they also put a smaller balance wheel on, because she would have originally had the big spoked treadle wheel. I might put one of those back on there just because I think that they look so much lovelier. Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to do is get all of her electronic stuff out. So, light motor block coming off, and these old ones are usually not polarized. Yeah, and this one is not polarized either. So the sides are the same size, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reuse that. I may have to replace it, but that can happen. That's okay. So let me get this out of the way. Okay, let's see about getting this motor off. Okay. Sorry about that. So we have big bolts and a couple washers, 2 of them to keep her steady. And you can see right there, they were just drilled straight in. So that is an option. You can drill into cast iron. So, if that's something that you want to try to do, we now have a precedent to see that it was done successfully, and it held for, nearly a century here, so it probably would more. So I'm going to go ahead and put this motor away. I might open it up and see what she looks like inside later. Now, the last couple videos I did, I kind of lumped everything together, but there are so many different components to this one. I will probably break it up into different video segments. Okay, this came out and it is in pretty good shape. So I am going to be able to reuse the shuttle, and it is an original bobbin. Okay, so let's get started up here. This is an aftermarket, probably same era as the Revco tension dial, but it's still using the old school thumb tension release, okay? So it's kind of a hybrid here. All right, so while I pulled off the front plate, I'm going to go ahead and take off some others. And if you saw, I only have one slide plate. And so this is a machine I've been trying to figure out different ways to recreate a slide plate. So I will do a totally different video on that because, you know, like I said, there's going to be so many components to this. When I took off the case, did you see this is how the connecting pins are, and these look like they were like hot riveted in or something, so I'm not going to be able to take these brackets off or these pins. I'm just going to clean them in place. Well, I guess there is a pin here I can punch out and remove the threaded part. I might do that, but this part has to stay on. At least that's what it looks like right now. Once I remove the Godzilla finishing, I might be able to see a different connector underneath that. But from under there right now, it looks like they just have to stay there. So we will see. The back plate is going to need to be painted, stripped and painted, so I am going to open it right now anyway, just to see what she looks like. I'm going to put this screw, looks like they Godzilla'd over the screw. But I can remove that, but that's going to go in there for right now. Okay, so this is going to get stripped. Put that over there. I honestly love that style because it makes it so much easier to get in here and do stuff. It's so cool. Don't see why they stopped it, but you know, they did. Now you can probably see right in here is where the Revco system is going to be connected. So we're going to be changing a lot of things. Well, not changing, it's already changed, but there's going to be a lot of things different from what the standard guts inside here looks like. Because usually this would have a little screw out, little round knob that you would just be able to lengthen or shorten the stitch length, but it wouldn't have reverse on it. So that's what this does. It gives you the option of having a reverse. I can see that they actually Godzilla'd over this little lifter lever right here too, so that's going to get cleaned up and polished. They just kind of Godzilla'd over a lot of external stuff, which is, you know, interesting to me. I'm going to go ahead and remove this needle down here. This machine should use a standard needle. But I'm going to pull that out so I don't stab myself for right now. You know what? I'm going to leave that on until I take off the presser bar or the needle bar. You know what? Let's get started over here. So let's see. I'm thinking this whole thing will just unscrew. Interesting. All right. I haven't done one of these before. And to me, get you up where you can see, it looks like I need to untwist it, but I can't untwist it with the needle bar in the way because this gets stuck coming over that way. So I think I'm going to need to get the needle bar out of the way. I can't totally take the whole needle bar mechanism out because this stuff is behind here, but if I can at least get this pushed down out of the way, I think I can untwist that. I am having a very hard time getting this screw out for the lifter lever. I don't know what happened, but and it's a tough place to get in there because it's close enough to the casting that you can't really use one of these. I can't get my impact gun in there. It's not stripped right now, but I've done all my tricks. I'm going to leave this in when it goes into the stripper tank. I'm concerned that maybe when because they Godzillaed over this, maybe it got into the threads and stuff. And I'm thinking that when it's in the hot stripper tank, that it's going to loosen up whatever is holding this in right now, and I'll be able to take it off afterwards. So that's my thought right now. I haven't given up. I'm just postponing it. So after I punched it out, I noticed these back hinges, they're completely circular. These are kind of open. You know, I think that they're still going to hold and everything, but they look like they're slightly different. If you see, it's not a complete circle, but that's okay. Alrighty. This was Godzillaed over too. So let's see if we can get off here. All right, so we are going into new territory for me. So I think you saw when I was taking the wheel off, there was like an extra little piece put on, you know, after the bushing, I guess, and it's extra that is not normally on machines. So I'm thinking that has something to do with this getting everything placed right for this mechanism. So first thing I'm doing is releasing some tension here so I can get in, and I'm going to take this cover plate off, this Revco, find a smaller screwdriver because it is kind of gummy. We have one little screw here. Okay. Move this up so I can get this one. Move the little plate. All right, that is a massive screw. And it looks like we're connected over here also. Let me try to loosen this. Okay, so that is what's going into the threaded hole that the other traditional stitch length would go on. I'm going to leave this as together as possible until it comes time to clean and put back together so that I don't lose track of how these things go. Okay, and then back here, instead of just the regular bolt. We have an extra piece. So can you see? Sorry. Okay. All right, let's see if I can get you in here. Okay, this is what I want you to see. When I turn this piece here is new. Hang on, let me find a flashlight or something. Okay, so I got my flashlight here. It's this piece right here, this little round piece right here I'm looking at. That is something that is just from the Revco model. The traditional stitch length block is not there. That's what is taking its place. And I am not too sure how that gets put back together. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking I want to leave it in because, first of all, I'm not sure how to get it off. I'm thinking this part here might just pull off, but I don't know, and I don't want to damage it. But if I can't get this off, then I can't pull the fork out. But since I have access to all this space, technically I could clean the fork while it's still in the machine. I'm going to go online and see if I can figure out what the deal is with this little piece, and then I'll decide for sure. Okay, found a guy on YouTube, DaveF. Never heard of DaveF before, but I'm very thankful for him. So he showed that this just pulls straight off. So I just pulled and it came off. And let's see if I can get this so you can see. There's a piece right here. You can see it's like a little cylinder piece right there that is going to key this so that it goes in on a very specific position going back when I push it back on, okay? So that way I can know for sure that it's going to go back on in the right position because of this little nub right there, okay? So that's very cool, and there was this little spring washer underneath it, okay? So that's good. So, let me get myself reoriented here. I'm going to go ahead and continue taking apart things on the bottom, and then I should be able to remove this piece up here. All right, so this is different. Usually that is not right there, which is going to make it a lot more difficult to get this fork positioned correctly. But I'm guessing that's why they have the big opening up here on top, because in the later models, this is not impeding my movement. So, let's see. See, there's a little nut there. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Lefty-loosey, Marie. Okay, so that is unscrewing. You know, this is getting to be, oh, I'll turn this off, tricky enough that I am seriously considering leaving part of it in. I did find my little nut that I had dropped out of here, but I don't know how this comes out. And the thing is, if I damage any of these parts, I can't replace them. And I really want this unit to work. So even though I took that little nut off, I'm going to clean it with the nut off, and I'll put it back on. But I'm going to leave all of this in. I am going to put it in my stripper tank with all of this, and it's going to clean it inside and out. And I can get in here, you know, and do some good cleaning that way. Yeah, I'm not going to have any trouble getting in there. So, yeah, I'm not going to be pulling this out. You know, call me a chicken, but I think I would rather be safe than possibly damage a piece of this little system and not be able to get it back together. I do need to take this off up here. Oh, very Godzilla. It's like they put the body together. They just masked over the emblem. So the emblem's not painted, but it's painted around. And see, even the little screw is Godzilla. So that's interesting. And you can get new crinkle finish black paint. I just don't want to. So this is going to get stripped and repainted also. All right, I do need to disassemble this because in order for the Godzilla to get stripped off, I need to put in the tank and strip it. A lot of times these older machines, these were left metal, but since this is painted now, I might repaint it also. So I'm just throwing my super duper penetrating oil on here. Okay, let's get started down here. Okay, so there she is. So what's going to go in my stripping tank is going to be this, 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 and this. So you have seen my stripping tank before, so I don't need to show you me just putting her in a big stainless steel square. Now, next time we will do something else on her. Can't tell you what. I mean, I've got a cabinet base to do, which is an unusual size. I've got to figure out the Revco. I've got to deal with the motor issue because I'm going to be doing a different pulley. I'm going to be using one of my pulleys here because the way that it was set up, you couldn't run the bobbin winder. There wasn't a belt for that. So using one of my belt improvised things. And this is one I do have for sale in my store. Basically, I took a design from an old machine that passed through my shop, took the specs off of that, and had them remanufactured. So if you're interested in these, they are on my website, Promethean Sewing Machines, but I will show you in the next video. I want to show you something. This is the wheel that was on the machine, and I went ahead and stripped it. When I pulled it out, I realized this is an aftermarket wheel too. And because there was that extra little bushing piece and everything, I'm probably going to go ahead and reuse this. But I wanted to show you because it is, I believe it's aluminum. Well, let me see. Nope, it does not stick to a magnet at all. I think it's aluminum, and I've cleaned it up a bit, and it's like polished and everything. But that's what it is. It did not have a chrome wheel. If anything, it was just polished up aluminum. And probably, I haven't decided yet, honestly. I might leave it so I have polished aluminum rim. I might paint it, I don't know. But I just wanted to show it to you because I think that's the first time I have seen a, this probably came with the Revco kit, I'm guessing. But yeah, it is all, hear that? All aluminum, so that's cool. Good morning. I let her soak all night, and I need to throw some oil on her. Actually, I might throw her in a bunch of Evaporest, but I wanted to show you when I was pulling her out of the tank, all of this stuff came loose. The stuff I was saying, oh, it's getting too tricky, I'm going to leave it in. It fell out. So apparently that one little nut I took out was enough to loosen it. It was just kind of gummed together. So all of this part, this is a special bearing. It's not the original one, or roller ball, or whatever you want to call it. That stays, and these are all parts of the Revco system. This is the original fork, okay? Now, I did not take the medallion off before because it had Godzilla all over the edge, so I'm going to be taking that off now. And this rivet, I'm going to be popping that off, and I'm going to try to fill these two little holes with a little mixture of JB Weld, just steel-colored epoxy, throw in there. So let me get those chiseled off, and I'll be back. Okay, so the first swipe, I just wanted to make sure that I had the holes kind of filled. And then I came back and I put more on top because I'm afraid that it's going to shrink up a little bit as it dries. So once it dries, then I can come back and sand this so it's going to be level. But right now, yes, it looks a little bit messy, but at least I know the holes are going to be filled. Once this is dry, then I can, do the evaporest treatment just to make sure that, nothing goes amiss there. And I've actually got a couple other projects in the mix right now, so I can't paint this right now. So what my thoughts are is I'm going to go ahead and get the pre-rust treatment done and probably throw primer on her. And then when I get a chance, when that machine is finished, and I've got a whole bunch of things going over there, get those things finished, and then I can work on her without, having the time element, but at least she'll be protected. So that is my plan right now. I am able to get this screw out, but it is a pain. The screw head is just in really bad shape. So I'm either going to have to grind that slot a little bit deeper before I put it in, or just swap it out for another one. And I believe I have another one of these screws, but it's so shallow that you can only get one turn at a time. Okay, there it is. Okay, so it's the next day, and if you can see, the base looks a little different. Now it looks very wavy. It actually feels very smooth. She had a whole lot of deep acne, especially over here. So while I was putting a little bit of JB Weld up here, there was a spot there I needed to put it on, and of course in her little dimples that I had to plug up. I went ahead and put some on that spot, and then I've sanded it down with a 600 grit sanding sponge. Actually, I can feel one spot right here. I may need to go over one more time. But once I do that and clean her up, she is going to get a very good coat of filler primer. And so are her little pieces here. Now, I am debating on painting her light fixture. I have it over here. If I decide I'm going to, this is the primer I use for plastics. It seems to work very well. I got these 3 pieces that I'll need to put that on. So let me resand her base one more time and then get her clear coat, not her clear coat, her primer coat on. Okay, so welcome to the next day. I just put the first primer on. Looking good, looking good. And the universal bonding spray on the plastics. Sorry, can't talk with my mask on here. So I'm going to give this about 15 minutes for it to dry well, and then I'll come back and buff it down. So the colors that I'm using is primarily a couple good coats of this eucalyptus, which is a little bit darker. And then I'm going to do a dusting over the top of that in this lighter modern mint, which is a lovely light. So it should be slightly mottled green, looking for a more natural green. But this is hers so far with one coat. I have about 10 more minutes. I'm waiting about 15 minutes between coats, so I'm going to give her another one shortly in the same eucalyptus, and then I'll bring the camera back in here when I put the dusting of the modern mint on. Okay, so I have the lighter coat over it, and this is not intended to be a perfect coat. It's intended to possibly give the hint that there's a darker color underneath. I don't know, it looks pretty light, which is also good, so that's fine. I had completely forgotten about the motor casing. So right now, I have it over here, and I'm going to have to wait until I can safely move all of these out of the way before I start on those, because we don't want primer overspray on any of this stuff. So I'll do that off camera, but that should have the same effect as these guys do over here. For the motor, because it is, a different type of metal, I'll probably be using a self-etching primer on that. And that's just fine. So there you go. I will see you back here. Well, for me, it's going to be a few days. For you, it'll probably be instantaneously. Okay, welcome back. So this is absolutely not going to be a very serious machine. I don't even remember what I said earlier because it's actually been probably a week since I painted her. I had other things going on. These are her decals, as you can see. Yes, she is an old machine, you know, very old machine, but she is, if I could put a persona to her that I feel, I'm going to put a picture up, you know, that I think sums her up. But basically, yeah, she's an old girl, but she's been trying her best to stay up with the times, and I am not going to hold her back. She is not going back, you know, with her original old-timey spoked wheel. She's going to be keeping her aluminum wheel, and she's going to be keeping her, you know, aftermarket Revco reverse and, you know, her presser foot tension little piece up there, and all of these little accessories that she has added over the years that make her who she is. So, you know, some should be original, I agree, but not this girl. She's endured enough, and we've taken off, excuse me, we've taken off her, you know, ugly, thick Godzilla layer, and so having this lovely light color, I think it's going to give her a fresh start. So I'm just going to shut up and finish cutting out all of these little decals here, and then start putting them on. They are waterside decals. I do make them myself. I basically create a document that has all of these on it, save it on a thumb drive, run down to my local library that has a nice laser color printer, and print them off there using clear waterside decal paper. So there you go. Good. How you doing?
Good. Get to go.
I'm working on them. Why don't you turn? All right, so I've got her done. I ended up, splitting a decal for the outside of the motor casing. Put a big, I don't know, it's a marigold. I might call her Marigold. But she is very spunky, loving her mood here. As you can see, I did a cutout. Now this is actually going to be covered up, a lot of it, with that motor, unfortunately. But if anyone ever decides to take it off and use her as a treadle, then that flower will be visible and everything. So from this point, I'm going to need to let her sit overnight. I'll try to clear coat her tomorrow. But I think that this is going to be the last part of this first video on her. So take a good look. Next time she'll be shinier with her clear coat. And we can get started getting her put back together. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
I found an antique sewing machine, forgotten and alone. I touched her rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.